The story opens in a small, isolated settlement at the edge of the frontier where life is harsh and survival requires both courage and resilience. The protagonist, a young woman, lives alone in a modest cabin after losing her family to illness and the harsh realities of the untamed land. Her days are quiet, marked by the routines of tending her small garden, gathering firewood, and maintaining her home. She has built a life of independence and self-reliance, finding comfort in solitude and the predictability of her daily chores. Yet beneath this calm exterior lies a sense of emptiness. She longs for connection but has resigned herself to the isolation that defines her life. One late evening, just as the sun dips below the horizon and the sky is painted with streaks of pink and orange, she hears the faint sound of someone stumbling through the forest toward her cabin. At first, she assumes it is a lost traveler or perhaps a wandering settler seeking shelter. But when the figure emerges from the shadows, she is startled to see an Apache man, tall and lean, carrying a small, fragile child in his arms. His clothing is worn and dust-streaked, and his expression is a mixture of exhaustion, desperation, and fear. It is immediately clear that he has been traveling for a long time under great strain. The man approaches her cabin cautiously, his eyes filled with a silent plea. He speaks in halting words, broken by the gaps in their shared language, explaining that the baby is his child and that the child's mother has died in childbirth. The child is weak, crying softly but persistently, clearly in need of nourishment. The man's voice is urgent but respectful, and his desperation is palpable. He has traveled miles with no certainty of help, and he has chosen her cabin as a last hope. The woman, though wary of strangers and mindful of the dangers that come with trusting someone unknown, feels an immediate tug of compassion. The sound of the baby's cries stirs a maternal instinct within her, one she has never fully confronted before. For a long moment, she hesitates, standing in the doorway with uncertainty clouding her mind. There is a conflict within her. She knows that welcoming a stranger into her home could bring danger, yet leaving the child to suffer is unthinkable. She studies the man's face, noting the lines of worry, exhaustion, and raw vulnerability etched into his features. She sees the tenderness with which he holds the child, a silent promise that he would do anything to protect his baby. Finally, moved by a combination of fear, empathy, and instinct, she opens the door wider and gestures for him to come in. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere is tense yet filled with quiet urgency. The woman quickly assesses the situation. The child is weak, clearly dehydrated and hungry, and the Apache man is too tired to continue the journey. She retrieves a blanket and prepares a space for the child, offering water and warmth, and then, after careful consideration, makes the decision to breastfeed the baby herself. It is a brave and intimate choice, one that carries profound significance. In this single act, she begins to form a connection with both the child and the man, establishing the first threads of trust and mutual reliance. The night stretches on, filled with quiet murmurs, gentle rocking, and shared glances between the woman and the Apache man. Words are few, but emotions speak loudly. The woman realizes that this encounter is more than a fleeting moment. It is a turning point. The arrival of the man and his child has disrupted her solitary life, introducing uncertainty, responsibility, and the possibility of unexpected connection. As she rocks the baby and watches the man's tired eyes soften with gratitude, she senses that her life is about to change in ways she cannot yet comprehend. By the end of the night, the immediate danger has passed. The baby is fed, warm, and calmer, and the Apache man is able to rest. Yet the memory of the arrival lingers in her mind, the sound of the baby's cries, the desperation in the man's eyes, and the strange, undeniable pull of responsibility that has already begun to take hold. This moment marks the beginning of a journey that will test courage, challenge prejudices, and ultimately forge bonds of love and family in the most unexpected circumstances. The days following the Apache man's arrival mark a subtle but profound shift in the young woman's life. At first, the atmosphere in the cabin is tense and awkward. She is cautious, still wary of the stranger who has entered her solitary world, and the Apache man, proud and reserved, maintains a stoic silence that underscores the divide between them. Yet, beneath the initial distance, there is a growing recognition of shared purpose, the survival and well-being of the child. This common goal becomes the foundation for the bond that begins to form between them. The woman finds herself waking earlier than usual, driven by the need to ensure that the baby is fed, warm, and safe. She nurses the child with a combination of instinct and determination, marveling at how quickly she feels a connection to this tiny human who clings so desperately to life. Each feeding strengthens the bond as the baby begins to recognize her. Voice and touch, responding with soft coos and a sense of security that warms the woman's heart. She experiences an unfamiliar, yet comforting, sense of purpose, one that fills the void left by years of solitude. Meanwhile, the Apache man observes quietly, often sitting a short distance away, his gaze alternately watchful and vulnerable. Though his words are few, his actions speak volumes. He assists with gathering firewood, hunting, and other tasks, providing the woman with support and demonstrating his gratitude. Gradually, he begins to let down the barriers that years of hardship and mistrust have built around him. In small gestures, a shared smile, a protective glance, a hand placed reassuringly on the baby's back, he communicates trust and reliance. Communication between them is initially challenging. Language barriers and cultural differences make words difficult and misunderstandings arise. However, gestures, tone, and patience gradually bridge the gap. The woman learns to interpret the Apache man's silent cues, the tilt of his head, the shift of his eyes, the careful way he handles the baby. He, in turn, begins to understand her routines, her expressions, and her unspoken concern. In these silent exchanges, a deep understanding begins to form. It is a bond built not on words but on empathy, observation, and mutual care, a language older than speech itself. As the days pass, small routines develop that further solidify their connection. They share meals, teach each other survival skills, and take turns watching over the baby. The woman begins to notice nuances in the Apache man's character, his quiet strength, the gentle way he cradles the baby, and the flickers of humor that occasionally break through his stoicism. She begins to respect him not only as a man in need but as a capable, honorable individual who has faced hardship with courage. Similarly, he comes to admire her resilience, her ingenuity, and her unwavering compassion, recognizing qualities that extend beyond mere kindness. Emotionally, the woman experiences a complex mixture of fear, fascination, and growing attachment. Caring for the child has awakened feelings she never expected, maternal instincts that mingle with empathy for the man who is slowly becoming a companion in her life. She feels protective, nurturing, and increasingly invested in the survival and happiness of both the child and the Apache man. These emotions are reciprocated as he gradually relaxes his vigilance and begins to show tenderness, allowing glimpses of vulnerability that reveal his humanity beneath the exterior of strength. By the end of this period, the household, once defined by isolation and caution, has transformed into a space of tentative trust and interdependence. The woman and the Apache man share quiet evenings, sometimes exchanging words, sometimes simply sitting together as the baby sleeps between them. There is laughter, however soft, and moments of unexpected joy that punctuate the weight of their responsibilities. Through these shared experiences, the foundation of a family is quietly laid. The woman comes to realize that the bond she is forming is more than obligation. It is the beginning of love and connection, born from necessity but nurtured by compassion and trust. The Apache man, in turn, begins to see her not just as a helper or caretaker, but as someone essential to his child's survival and to his own fragile hope. Together, they navigate the delicate beginnings of a relationship that will challenge their assumptions, bridge cultural divides, and reshape the course of their lives. As the days turn into weeks, the young woman and the Apache man begin to settle into an uneasy rhythm within the cabin, but the outside world begins to press upon them in subtle and sometimes harsh ways. Living together under one roof has forged a bond through necessity, but it has also highlighted the differences in their world's differences of culture, experience, and perspective that cannot be ignored. The woman, raised in a frontier settlement shaped by European traditions and a strict code of societal expectations, struggles to fully comprehend the Apache man's customs, his ways of speaking, his gestures, and even his approach to caregiving. Meanwhile, he observes her own habits, her meticulous attention to order, her routines, and her cautious ways as foreign and occasionally puzzling. Each is fascinated by the other, but misunderstandings arise naturally from a lack of shared context. Neighbors and other settlers become aware of the unusual household. Whispers follow them through the settlement. Questions about the woman's choice to host a foreign man, skepticism about her intentions, and even moral judgments about her willingness to nurse a child that is not her own. At first, she feels a mix of anger, shame, and defensiveness, unaccustomed to being judged by others. The Apache man, proud and self-respecting, feels the sting of prejudice as well. Though he is quiet, the tension is palpable in his posture and expression. These external pressures create an added layer of strain, forcing both of them to navigate not only their own differences but also the scrutiny of the world outside their cabin. Amid these challenges, small moments of understanding and compromise begin to emerge. The woman observes the man's methods for caring for the baby, how he swaddles the child, sings in a soft, melodic language, and carries the baby during daily tasks, and gradually appreciates their effectiveness. She recognizes that while his approach is unfamiliar, it is deeply rooted in wisdom and tradition. Similarly, the Apache man notices the woman's resourcefulness, her careful planning of meals, her ability to manage the cabin efficiently, and her unwavering attention to the baby's health and comfort. Slowly, he acknowledges that her knowledge of the land, combined with her compassion, makes her an invaluable partner in the child's survival. Through shared experiences, they begin to bridge the cultural divide. Communication becomes less dependent on words and more rooted in observation, empathy, and shared action. They develop a mutual respect for the ways in which each approaches life, realizing that different customs and habits do not signify weakness or superiority, but reflect distinct forms of intelligence and adaptation. For instance, the woman learns to incorporate elements of the Apache man's traditions into daily life using herbs for the baby's care, embracing certain routines that promote harmony with nature, and understanding the spiritual significance he places on small rituals. In turn, he begins to understand her worldview, her cautious nature, and the logic behind her structured approach to survival. Emotionally, this process is transformative. The woman finds herself less fearful of the unknown and more open to connection, not only with the Apache man but with the possibility of a family that extends beyond blood ties. The Apache man, who has been shaped by a lifetime of self-reliance and guardedness, experiences the gradual thawing of his heart as he witnesses her dedication and genuine care. The baby, ever observant, serves as a constant bridge between them, responding to each with trust and affection, reminding both adults of the importance of patience, understanding, and cooperation. The cultural clash, rather than driving them apart, ultimately becomes a source of growth. Each learns to adapt without abandoning identity, blending traditions, and creating new ways of living together. Moments of humor arise from misunderstandings, a word misinterpreted, a gesture misread, but these moments serve to deepen their bond rather than fracture it. By the end of this period, the cabin transforms from a place of wary cooperation into a home where two very different people begin to find common ground, united in their love for the child and the shared experience of navigating a world that often misunderstands them. Through these experiences, the woman and the Apache man begin to see each other not just as allies in survival, but as equals capable of compassion, wisdom, and love. Their growing understanding marks a turning point in their relationship, laying the foundation for deeper trust and emotional intimacy that will guide them through the trials yet to come. As the woman and the bull Apache man begin to settle into a fragile rhythm of cohabitation and shared care for the child, the harsh realities of the frontier assert themselves. The wilderness surrounding their cabin is beautiful but unforgiving, and danger is never far away. One morning, the tranquility of their routine is shattered when signs of an approaching threat emerge. Tracks in the forest, broken branches, and distant, suspicious voices. It could be hostile settlers, bandits seeking to exploit the isolated homestead, or even a rival tribe wary of outsiders. The looming danger casts a shadow over their household, forcing them to confront both the physical risks of their environment and the emotional vulnerability of their situation. Immediately, the woman and the Apache man must rely on the skills they have learned from each other. She draws on her knowledge of the terrain, her ability to move quietly, and her keen observational skills, while he contributes his expertise in tracking, hunting, and understanding the behaviors of potential threats. Together, they create a plan to protect the child, fortifying the cabin as best they can and identifying escape routes should the situation worsen. The collaboration is intense, a crucible in which trust is tested and reinforced. Every glance and gesture carries weight. Every decision has consequences for the baby's safety and their own survival. During these tense days, the emotional stakes become as significant as the physical ones. The woman realizes how deeply she has come to care for both the child and the Apache man. Fear for their safety intensifies her protective instincts, and she becomes acutely aware that the bond they share is more than a matter of necessity. It is now rooted in love and mutual reliance. Likewise, the Apache man begins to show a depth of emotion he had previously kept hidden, revealing glimpses of worry, frustration, and even tenderness. In the face of danger, his stoicism gives way to a vulnerability that underscores his reliance on her judgment and presence. The couple encounters several harrowing moments that test their resolve. Perhaps a group of hostile figures approaches the cabin, forcing them to hide the child and employ clever tactics to avoid confrontation. Or maybe a sudden storm threatens the structural integrity of their shelter, requiring urgent improvisation and teamwork. Each trial highlights the complementarity of their skills. She anticipates practical challenges and thinks through contingencies, while he reacts with agility, intuition, and decisive action. The child, though too young to understand the threat, is a silent motivator, spurring both adults to act with urgency and courage. These trials also deepen their emotional connection. Shared danger fosters an intimacy that quiet conversation alone could never achieve. The woman witnesses the Apache man's protective instincts and moral code, realizing that his strength is not just physical but deeply rooted in loyalty and compassion. Similarly, he observes her courage, adaptability, and unyielding devotion to the child, recognizing qualities that go beyond simple kindness. Their admiration for each other grows, tempered by the knowledge that survival is precarious and that each moment of safety is earned through cooperation and trust. As the threat subsides, whether through careful avoidance, negotiation, or the natural retreat of danger, they emerge changed. The cabin, once a mere dwelling, has become a sanctuary forged in the crucible of adversity. The woman and the Apache man understand that the life they are building together cannot be fragile or tentative. It must be strong enough to withstand external pressures. They have learned that love, trust, and family are not only emotional commitments but also practical necessities in a world that does not forgive weakness. By the end of this period, both recognize that their bond has transcended the circumstances that brought them together. They are no longer simply caretaker and father, nor woman and desperate visitor. They are partners in survival, partners in life. Their shared experiences of danger and the victories earned through cooperation have created a family unit stronger than either could have anticipated. This newfound strength and unity will serve as the foundation for the challenges and transformations yet to come, as they continue to navigate a world full of uncertainty but rich with possibility. With the immediate dangers behind them, the young woman, the Apache man, and the child begin to experience a period of relative stability, one that allows them to reflect on how much their lives have changed. The cabin, once a simple shelter, has become a home filled with shared responsibility, mutual respect, and quiet moments of joy. The woman, who had lived in solitude for so long, now finds herself fully invested in the life of the child and the man who brought him into her care. She has grown accustomed to the rhythms of their household, preparing meals together, tending to the land, and teaching the child small skills as he begins to grow. Each day reinforces the sense of purpose and fulfillment she had never expected to find. Emotionally, she has transformed. What began as an act of necessity, breastfeeding the baby, has blossomed into a profound maternal bond. She nurtures the child not just to sustain life, but because she genuinely loves him and feels an instinctive connection to his well-being. This love extends naturally toward the Apache man as well. She recognizes that he is not only the father of the child but also a partner in life, someone whose courage, wisdom, and kindness have enriched her world. Their relationship deepens into a partnership based on trust and mutual reliance, a bond that transcends the original circumstances of their meeting. The Apache man, too, experiences transformation. He has learned to trust the woman, to share responsibility, and to allow himself to feel emotions he had long kept hidden behind a stoic exterior. He admires her strength, ingenuity, and compassion, and he increasingly relies on her not just for practical support, but for companionship and emotional connection. In moments of quiet intimacy, such as sitting by the fire while the child sleeps or walking together in the forest, he allows himself to express gratitude, affection, and vulnerability. This reciprocity fosters a sense of family that neither had anticipated but both now cherish deeply. As their household stabilizes, attention turns outward. The surrounding community, which had initially been suspicious or even judgmental, begins to notice the harmony and competence of their lives. Neighbors witness the child thriving, the couple's cooperative efforts, and the respectful way in which the Apache man and the woman care for each other. Slowly, whispers of suspicion give way to nods of approval, and some settlers offer small acts of support, sharing supplies, offering advice, or simply acknowledging their presence with respect. The community's acceptance, though gradual, reinforces the sense that their bond is legitimate, enduring, and worthy of recognition. Within this period of acceptance, transformation occurs on multiple levels. The woman evolves from a solitary figure into a fully realized maternal and emotional presence capable of nurturing both child and man. The Apache man grows beyond the role of a desperate father into that of a loving partner and equal contributor to the household. Together, they navigate cultural differences with grace, blending traditions and routines in ways that honor both of their backgrounds. Meals, celebrations, and daily chores become shared experiences that weave their lives together, creating a tapestry of family and belonging. Symbolically, the child represents the bridge between their two worlds. His presence demands cooperation, empathy, and compromise, and in meeting his needs, the woman and the Apache man discover the depth of their own capacities for love and connection. They are no longer individuals defined by past losses, isolation, or cultural differences. They are a unified family, strengthened by hardship and nurtured through shared commitment. By the end of this part, the household has been transformed from a place of necessity into a space of love, respect, and stability. The initial act of kindness that brought them together, breastfeeding the child, has grown into a life-changing bond that has reshaped the course of each of their lives. Both the woman and the Apache man now understand that family is not only defined by biology or tradition, but by the choices, sacrifices, and love that they share. They have forged a home in which trust, compassion, and mutual respect flourish, and in doing so, they have created a foundation for the future, one filled with hope, joy, and enduring connection. By the time the final part of the story unfolds, the lives of the young woman, the Apache man, and the child have transformed in ways that neither could have anticipated when their paths first crossed. The cabin, once a simple and solitary dwelling, is now a lively home filled with the rhythms, routines, and warmth of a family unit. The child, now thriving and healthy, is the central focus of their attention, a symbol of resilience, hope, and the bond that brought the woman and the Apache man together. The baby's laughter and curiosity fill the air, turning what was once a quiet and isolated existence into a space brimming with life and shared purpose. The woman has embraced her role as the child's mother fully, nurturing him with patience, love, and attentiveness. Breastfeeding was only the beginning of her deep maternal connection, which has grown to encompass all aspects of the child's upbringing. She teaches him language, manners, and survival skills while also instilling a sense of moral and emotional grounding. The act of nurturing has brought her personal growth as well. She is stronger, more confident, and profoundly aware of her capacity for love and resilience. Her connection to the child has also deepened her connection to the Apache man, revealing to her the transformative power of shared responsibility and devotion. The Apache man, too, has been transformed. His initial desperation and vulnerability have given way to a quiet strength rooted in trust, partnership, and love. He recognizes the woman not just as a caretaker of his child, but as the anchor of his new life, someone whose presence has restored hope and purpose. He has shed layers of stoicism and isolation, learning to express affection, communicate openly, and appreciate the subtleties of companionship. Through their shared experiences, moments of danger, cultural learning, and quiet domestic routines, he has discovered a sense of belonging he had not known before. Together, the couple has built a harmonious household that blends their differing backgrounds and traditions. The woman has incorporated aspects of the Apache man's customs into their daily lives, such as rituals that honor nature or the spiritual guidance he imparts, while he respects her routines and methods, valuing her organization, resourcefulness, and commitment to the child's well-being. The home becomes a space where compromise and mutual respect are central, demonstrating that love and family can flourish even in the face of profound cultural differences. The community, having observed the stability, love, and respect evident in their household, gradually accepts and even celebrates their family. Neighbors who once whispered in suspicion now regard them with quiet admiration. The child serves as a bridge, not just between the woman and the Apache man, but also between two worlds that had seemed incompatible. Their acceptance by the wider settlement is a subtle but meaningful victory, affirming that their unconventional family structure is legitimate, resilient, and worthy of respect. Emotionally, the household radiates a sense of completion and wholeness. The woman has found the companionship and purpose she had longed for in solitude. The Apache man has discovered trust, love, and a partner capable of standing beside him through hardship and triumph alike. The child thrives as the living embodiment of their cooperation and shared care, a reminder of the life-altering choices that brought them together. Their daily life meals shared around a wooden table, walks through the forest, playtime in the yard is filled with moments of joy, connection, and laughter, punctuated by lessons learned and stories told. The final moments of the story underscore the permanence of their transformation. What began as a desperate plea for milk has evolved into a fully realized family. Their bond, forged in necessity and strengthened through trials, is now rooted in love, trust, and mutual respect. The woman and the Apache man no longer define themselves by past losses, fear, or societal judgment. They define themselves as a family, united by choice and nurtured by experience. In the end, a new life is not just a description of survival or domestic stability, it is a testament to human resilience, the transformative power of empathy, and the extraordinary potential of love to bridge divides. The story concludes with the three of them together, not simply surviving, but thriving. A family shaped by hardship, enriched by connection, and poised for a future full of promise, hope, and enduring bonds.